Previously heard on Chuck and Bo.
But regardless, as Chuck just pounds some equal into his coffee, shaking that bag and putting it in that coffee. He's ready to stir it with a pen now.
I am.
Stir it with a pen. There you go. That's disgusting.
Done it for years. I'm healthy as a horse, guys. How many sick days have I taken? None.
Well, you know what's going to happen now?
What's that?
You're going to have a sick day.
I don't care if I'm on death's door. I'm not calling in sick.
You
man.
won't?
I've been stirring my coffee like this forever. I'm fine.
I know.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
I would resist the urge to drink this morning.
Stop. I'm done.
You said a lot of good things there.
Well, I don't know if I said one good thing.
I met a guy last night. Love y'all to death, Jeff.
Do you mind if I share?
I'm looking forward to it.
The show of record for Razorback fans.
Driving my son to school, and first thing he says when we hop in the car, he says, "Let's turn on the Chuck and Bo
There we
show."
It's too early for this kind of conversation. I'm still half asleep.
Here are your hosts, Chuck Barrett and Bo Mattingly.
Well, I guess we don't have to worry about learning how to say Iamaleava now.
You mean Iamaleava?
That's making the rounds. That's making the rounds. The Iamaleava.
It's too easy.
And this family decided, I guess they needed some attention.
Man.
It was like I feel a Iamaleava reality show coming on.
You know, that actually could
Feel it.
could be good.
Kardashians and the Iamaleavas.
Well, they're going to be reunited at UCLA, evidently. The brothers Iamaleava.
What for?
I don't know.
Like, did they, what happened the first time that made you not want to go there if you're Madden? And what's happening now that your brother's going? And I guess you can say they're getting paid, but I don't, like, if reports are true, it doesn't seem like UCLA is the lucrative spot to land in the portal.
Well, it sounds like to me that it's going to take two Iamaleavas to equal what one got paid at Tennessee. I mean, that's sort of my impression, honestly, is that between two of them, maybe they're going to get what he got in Knoxville.
And speaking from experience, I just want to point out, maybe somebody should have pointed out to him, $1 goes a lot further in Knoxville than it does in Beverly Hills. I mean, you can't get a cheeseburger for under $75. That, you know, I mean, like on the UCLA campus. So I'm just confused. I'm confused by this entire situation. And to our smart listeners' credit, they immediately began asking, how do you think this affects Madden on Arkansas's roster? And we were like, well, you know, what Nico's doing is what Nico's doing. It doesn't automatically affect Madden. Well, I guess we were wrong.
Well, it didn't necessarily affect him, but it did.
Apparently, that was a great question. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a logical question, but it also would make sense that, you know, we've seen things like this happen before. One family member doing something, another family member, you know, it's not their deal. Like, that's not part of what's happening. So now we've got Avicic going to play with his brother at Illinois, and we got Iamaleava going to play with his brother at UCLA. I guess the moral of the story is you can't keep families apart, Chuck.
Well, you can't. I mean, you know, band of brothers. But, you know, I said on this show from the very beginning, I felt like Nico was going to go to UCLA based on everything that I read. And reading between the lines sometimes, it was obvious that's where he was going to land. Now, this one surprises me, but I guess in this world today, nothing should surprise any of us. I'll also say this has never felt right to me. Even with the flip on signing day, the whole deal, it's never felt right to me. I'm not sure the guy ever would have played it down here regardless, because here's what would have happened. What if he'd won the job? What if he'd come to camp and won the job? And he'd gone into Sam Pittman and said, I'm going to need $4 million to be your starting quarterback. Fast forward 1 year. Taylon Green's gone. Iamaleava wins the job. People are excited. They're going to walk in and say, I'm going to need more money and lots of it. And despite what people think, it is not a bottomless well of money. And so you get into a situation where, I got to be honest, I'm glad he's gone. I think it was, I just have to tell you, I think trouble was coming. And I know that's easy to say after the fact. I understand all that. I get it. But I'm not upset about this at all. And I'm sorry. And I know that may rub some people the wrong way. But this does not bother me one bit.
Well, there's a lot more than just being a good quarterback to what you're saying. Like, you get the whole thing. You don't just get let's just say he was going to be great on the field. You get the whole thing, as Tennessee's discovering. Look, we have a situation right now, and I don't know how much it's going to change. I would think that it's going to change a fair amount when we get to rev share and a little bit more structure to this whole world that we're playing in. But the idea that a player can do this this is not about equality in terms of players getting paid and being treated like coaches get treated. Like, this is completely different. Players right now, it's just like players gone wild.
Coaches don't go in and say, hey, if I don't get a bump, I'm not coaching in the bowl game.
It's you invest in each other. Like, it's sort of like having an employee, and as soon as you help them get to a certain level, they're calling everybody in the industry to see if they'll give them a raise to leave.
It's true.
But this is a way easier situation than even that can be, because that world is aware of that and set up for that, and you have contracts when you get an executive position to deal with that sort of thing. And here in this world, just think about what you just said. If you're the head coach and you bring in a quarterback who's a 4-star, and you're like, traditionally you're going to start building this guy to play, and you're going to know what this guy wants to make. You're going to know when he becomes the starter what you're going to pay him, and you guys should agree to that. Like, that's what you're going to get in a professional situation most of the time, where people kind of know what they can get, what they can't get. Well, this is just like unrestricted free agency across the board. Anything goes. All the way down to, I can leave you after spending 3 weeks of spring pretending to be your quarterback. And I can leave you in a horrible position. And it just doesn't happen anywhere. In any, like where does that happen in any job and profession that you know of? Like, of this consequence, where we're talking about hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. Where does that happen? Like, somebody clue me in on that, because I'm unaware of that profession.
Well, most of the time, if you're working for a good company and you go in and try to pull something like that, they tell you to hit the road. It's part of the reason they're a good company.
What Tennessee did.
Yeah, and that's what you have to
do.
do.
You, as a coach, have to consider what you just said. Like, I don't know if the guy would have ever played down here, because once you make him the starter, he's going to ask for more money than anybody wants to pay him. Like, you got to consider that as a coach. Well, then he shouldn't be here. Shouldn't be here. But you probably don't know that until he gets here. But there, when you go back and look at Madden Iamaleava's past, you remember, or you learn for the first time, that he transferred as a senior in high school and never played because he was deemed ineligible. Now think about that.
I don't think it was academics. I think there was just a lot of movement going on.
But my point is, this is like
right.
this transient nature
right.
of always got to find a better spot for my son. I've always got to find more money for my son, or whatever it is. This whole thing is just weird.
Well,
for me, it's like they're not even going for the money. Like, I don't think they're getting paid more money combined than Nico was going to get at Tennessee and Madden was going to get here. I don't know for sure, but there's nothing to really indicate they hit the lottery. Like, this is not the New York Yankees went out and took the Pittsburgh Pirates' best player because the Pirates couldn't afford him and the Yankees have an unlimited payroll and don't mind paying the luxury tax. Like, that's not the situation. So what is it?
Well, part of it, I'm sure, is about being back in California. Part of it's about being together. Part of it's about the family aspect of it. Controlling father, sounds like. I want to know who they're listening to. I know they're listening to people. I also know that they don't have what has been described as like, an official agent. They have a handler. Sometimes those guys are even worse. So I'm not sure who they're listening to and how they're arriving at these decisions. To me, and I'll go back to what I said earlier, I thought the Nico thing was planned out. The Madden thing seems a little more reactionary, than maybe Nico's deal. But I'm just guessing. I'm just speculating. They've clearly got a plan. The Iamaleavas do, but as I said, I think in the long run, you wash your hands of this and you move on down the road, and we view it kind of like Dana Altman.
I just want to know the truth. Don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know what's really going on? You want to know the truth? Like what happened here?
Well,
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Maybe that's the issue. Happy birthday to Jack Nicholson.
88 today.
Maybe we can't handle the truth. Maybe we should be. Bart, you're over there and
I don't think the truth's terribly complicated. I just think this is just good old-fashioned greed and think you're a better player. The handlers and the dad think they can play the game better than they can. Your thoughts, Bart?
Bart is in the Chevy of Fayetteville Situation Room, and he's ready to unleash.
Get out of here. Just get out of here.
Get out.
Leave.
Yeah, nerd. That's from Baby Billy.
That's right.
Just get out of here. You greedy people. Get out of here.
Wow.
You didn't play as a high school senior.
Bart speaking for the people.
Wow.
You didn't play as a high school senior.
Go outside, nerd.
Yeah, that's it right there.
You might have a chance to play next year here at Arkansas, but instead you're going to go to UCLA and sit behind your brother for a couple of years.
Brother's shadow.
You're not going to play football for 3 years at least? Beyond that.
By the time this thing's over, they're going to have it negotiated to play every other series together.
Beyond that,
I mean, this thing's ridiculous. This world we live in is just...
He's leaving. He's
absurd.
transferring from Arkansas before he even takes a snap in fall camp. Before the school year even starts. That is insane behavior.
How long
that
has he
is
been here?
Crazy behavior.
January, February, March, 3.5 months?
My goodness,
You know what
man.
it reminds me of? I'll tell you.
They're eating the pets.
That's where we are. It doesn't make
sense.
sense.
The whole system's broken. Players need contracts. That has to happen. Or fan interest in their teams. If you're not an elite level team, if you're not the Georgia, the Alabama, the Texas of the world, the Ohio States of the world, fan interest is going to continue to dwindle in your program. It's going to hurt college football. It's going to hurt college athletics if they don't get contracts for these players and limit some of this. Because as a fan, you can't trust a single guy on your team to be on your team next year, to be on your team next week, to be on your team tomorrow.
Forget the fan. What about the guy in the locker room next to him?
Right.
What about the guy that's
staff.
coaching him?
What
about the people that are giving the money?
Nobody wants to make any
have
excuses for coaches. A fired college football coach is the greatest job in the world because of the buyout you get to do absolutely nothing. Nobody's having any pity on the coaches. But this isn't fair to the coaches either. You never know who's going to be on your team.
He's unleashed.
These greedy people
Greedy.
need to get
outside, man.
out.
Get out. Go.
You know what? You're clearly look, these people are clear, and these people I'm talking about the Iamaleavas.
These people.
We've hit that level.
They're clearly not winners.
Well,
They're clearly not winners.
They're
They're now, well,
They're part of the
And if
problem.
you ain't first, you're last.
They're not part of the solution, are they?
Hey,
They're part of the problem.
congratulations.
Wow.
Congratulations
They're all
going
out
to
here.
UCLA where you're going to get your butt whooped in the Big Ten time and time again. Have fun on that jet to Piscataway or Maryland or wherever when you could be, in the middle of November when it's snowing and cold when you could be playing in the SEC.
Yeah, here's
look, you don't want to be a part of big-time college football. That's fine.
I don't
Goodbye.
care.
Good
Like, I really don't care that Madden Iamaleava is leaving. I don't. It's not like I feel like Arkansas is. Oh my gosh, now they're in trouble. But but it's the situation of college football. Like Pittman said on the show the other day that this is happening all the time.
Right.
We're just noticing this because of the high-profile nature of the starting Tennessee quarterback who already had a record deal going into Tennessee is saying, I'm leaving, the day before the spring game because I want $4 million. And so we got into this conversation. I don't want it to sound like we're sitting here all mad that Nico's leaving and we feel like that he hosed Arkansas.
Madden.
It's the whole.
It's the system.
It's the system.
It's also the process.
Yeah.
It's the way it's all happening.
Have a cigarette. We got to take a break. 6:18. Good morning. Just take a breath. When you went into the Hall of Fame, I think it was at a Western Sizzler.
I think it was. It was at a motel. It wasn't a hotel. It was a motel.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
First Security is about more than great banking. Yes, we provide the financial expertise, digital tools, and everything else you need when you need it. But we also go all in on local support with friendly professionals, plus convenient locations all across the state. Because we believe personal banking is better banking. Visit fsbank.com for details. That's fsbank.com for friendly, local banking with First Security. Bank better. Member FDIC.
I always enjoy talking about Weicker Realtors, the Griffin Company. If you followed my radio career, you remember they were partners on the original sports rap radio program over 20 years ago. We've done business together from an advertising perspective, but more importantly, they've been my partners in buying and selling homes. I'd recommend them to anybody. They're in Northwest Arkansas, the River Valley, and in Branson. Weicker Realtors, the Griffin Company, turning houses into homes since 1978.
It seems like everything is more expensive this year, but replacing your AC doesn't have to be. If you need to replace your AC this summer, before you commit, price check with Paschal. You can save money and use the professionals to replace your system. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing you chose the best option for your home. Visit gopaschal.com and with just a few clicks, see how much you can save with the Paschal price check. Paschal Air, Plumbing, and Electric.
Arkansas's one-stop automotive shop is right around the corner. Fayetteville Auto Park. FayettevilleAutoPark.com. Chevy, Toyota, Honda, Acura, Collision Center, all in one place. And if you're shopping pre-owned, Fayetteville Auto Park has you covered. With so many new cars sold, we always have a great selection of fresh trades. Why settle for anything less than the best? Fayetteville Auto Park, West Showroom Drive in Fayetteville. Proud sponsor of the Chuck and Bo Show.
Why don't you just kind of style it up a little bit at the game? Let's get your drip going.
Hey, I got a lot more drip than you think.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
You need to run that tape back for me because that didn't happen. Don't come at me with that crap.
Don't come at me.
Yeah.
Not up in here.
Yeah. You must have your shows mixed up. Like, that didn't happen here, pal.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
So KJ Jackson's the backup quarterback. We had a text a minute ago saying all this talk about Madden and all this stuff. Who's number 2? KJ Jackson's number 2. And KJ, I think, was going to be number 2 regardless. When the spring started, Jackson was a clear number 2. Madden did have a very good spring. And I won't say he pulled even, but he'd gotten pretty close there at the end of spring.
Okay, take this in real time.
All right.
So what you just said, here's KJ Jackson, and we can go on and talk about his game. Pretty good. Ball comes out of his hand well. You saw him a little bit last year.
Same things they said about Madden.
People bragged about, KJ Jackson. In the first game, Pine Bluff, when Arkansas went 10 for 10 in scoring drives, and KJ Jackson played. I remember guys like Clint Turner and Quinn Groby talking about how they love the way the ball
4 for 4
came out of his hand.
And I can remember him throwing one ball to the near sideline that, it had smoke on it. It was, it's like, whoa.
So hard pause right here. Madden Iamaleava leaves for UCLA.
Join his brother.
KJ Jackson's now the backup quarterback. Let's just go with right here he is. I'm KJ's dad. What do I do? See, you guys are having kind of light in the quarterback room there all of a sudden. I think that I'm making up a number. I don't know what he's making. I think that 300 he's got to be there now is all of a sudden probably 450.
It's insane. Hey, let me say this too. I want to circle back to something you said a minute ago. You quoted Pittman saying that, this happens more frequently than you might imagine. We just notice it because it's a high-profile player. What does happen routinely in college football is a guy making, let's say, 100. Not a star, a guy that's battling for playing time. Guy comes in making 100 and says, I need 200. Or a guy making 200 says, I need 350. Or, just follow along there. We got guys that were on our team last year that aren't going to be on our team this year that did that. They're not stars. You can kind of go down the roster and look at who played last year, some, and look who's not here now. You can probably figure it out.
This was the beginning of the end for Mike Neighbors as the women's basketball coach. If we want to go to another sport real quick. Like, if you have enough money in NIL, like Ole Miss, for example, or South Carolina women's basketball, you can afford to pay a player that you're not sure is going to work out. If you have so much money, it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. You're in a different position than somebody who's got to be really judicious with their budget. They can't afford, if a kid comes in and asks you for an extra $100 or $50 or $75,000 even, you got to be able to know, oh man, Bart's really going to help us this year. Or, I think he can, but I'm still not sure. And so am I overpaying this guy $75,000 and I'm not sure if he can help us or if he's going to be a guy this year? But Ole Miss is willing to pay him that. And they don't really care if he plays or not because they can afford to make mistakes. That's the difference between having sort of a huge NIL pot. And this is the climate we're in right now, and it's about to change a little. I still think people are going to find ways around it. I still think this is going to happen. Maybe not at the frequency that it does now, but it's still going to be an issue, in my opinion.
I think, everybody, when you go out and sign a player, everybody's betting on the come, so to speak. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. Here's the difference when you have a lot of money. I don't know that it's so much we can afford to be wrong. I don't know that anybody can afford to be wrong. It's just that the guy that you're hoping is right is a better player than what other schools have. You've invested in a better player, and so there's a better chance that you're going to get a real dividend from your money. What happens a lot of times is you get into some of these players that they might be okay, they might not be okay. Well, if that's your pool and none of them pan out, you're out of luck. Some of these other places that have more money, the pool's better. The players are better. And
they can also take your marginal guys because you can't afford to pay them more.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And they might not play there. but they got paid to go. Let's hit the phones. 877-377-6963. Hey, Alan. Good morning from Prairie Grove. What's going on?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing fine.
So I got a comment and a question about ugly Alavia.
Okay.
So Chuck should be the most mad because he spent 2.5 hours trying to remember how to say his name.
I know it.
I was thinking about that.
And my question is, if they've already gotten money, do they have to give it back?
No. Well, I don't.
Well,
no. The answer to your question is no.
I think what's done is done.
Yeah.
But they might not get future payments moving forward.
You're not getting another dime. You're not getting another dime from me.
Every school's different. Every state's different. And in this current format, before we move into the new one, on how they can do agreements, how guys get paid, when they get paid, all those things. But if you leave, you're not going to keep getting paid.
Well, and I get that. I didn't know how they paid them, if it was monthly or a lump sum or what, but it doesn't make sense that you can transfer anytime you want to and keep the money. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense.
That's another whole thing. There's no transparency.
That's a good question. Thank you, Alan.
I mean, we don't know. Nobody knows anything.
Well, I do know this, that a lot of decisions players make on whether or not they're playing, whether or not they're leaving, whether or not they're going, they make those decisions a day after they get paid. They don't make that decision with money still out there. Well, they still owe me so-and-so, so I think I'm going to go ahead and announce I'm leaving. They make sure they get all that money. And look, it's just a dirty deal right now. I mean, it's just dirty. And
Go outside, nerd.
I just
Get
really
out. Go.
I just really think that we're better off.
There will come a payday, hallelujah, what a payday. There will come a payday someday.
This is it.
There will come a payday, hallelujah, what a payday. There will come a payday someday.
I've got some elixir. Some elixir over here I want to sell you. It's just
what a
nuts.
deal. Wow.
Hey, if you're buying or selling a home, I know you can't go wrong with Weichert Realtors, the Griffin Company. I do know that. And you want to talk about people that understand their trade, understand their business. You're always going to get the best train in the business when you partner with Weichert Realtors, the Griffin Company. There is nobody out there in the real estate business that's got a better training program than Weichert. So when you partner with an agent from Weichert, you're getting the top of the line. You're getting someone that understands and can navigate you through all sorts of situations that are certain to arise during the process of buying or selling a home. That's why you want a real estate professional on your side, and that's what you're always going to get with Weichert Realtors, the Griffin Company. Now, they're in Northwest Arkansas, Washington and Benton counties, Fort Smith. They've got a great office in Branson. Got a lot of homes. You can check them out at WeichertGriffin.com. They've been turning houses into homes since 1978.
631, good morning.
Do you think Kim Mulkey could operate a jackhammer?
The Chuck and Bo Show.
I'm Dr. Scotty Bolding, a native Arkansan oral and maxillofacial surgeon. One of my goals is to make Arkansans healthier.
If you have sleep disorder breathing, it's important to treat it properly. The standard treatment's a breathing machine called CPAP. It helps you breathe during the night. However, there are other options thanks to some truly innovative and proven technologies.
Sleep is probably God's gift of medicine that we really don't utilize enough. If you have obstructive sleep apnea, it needs to be treated. So you need to be wearing your CPAP. So if you're not wearing your CPAP, there are some potential surgical solutions that can help you that actually work today. By correcting the jaw deformities that may be causing this obstructive sleep apnea is where we focus.
Dr. Bolding at Precedent Center for Facial and Dental Medicine works carefully with your sleep physician, determines where the underlying obstruction may be, and provides surgical solutions that open the airway, allowing you to breathe better.
Hey, give us a call, 479-755-3000, or log on to our website, precedent.com, Precedent. We'd love to help.
Today's been it's been a strange day.
Yeah, we've had some struggles here and there. Let's just be blunt. Can we be blunt?
Well, it's 50-50 at best.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
we keep threatening to show behind the scenes live on the stream. It's going to happen someday. We're all going to get fired for it. There's just like total chaos.
It's mayhem around here. It really is.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
Number one, I think what went on with Nico, because he was so high profile, that it brought attention to, we may need to change the portal window, or we may need to get into rev share, where there at that point there's going to be a lot more equality financially in the game of collegiate football. But that's been going on for 4 years. He's just high profile.
That was kind of what we were talking about a minute ago before the break. But in the first part of what he's saying there,
Coach Pittman, if you didn't recognize his voice,
I wonder, moving forward, is what just happened with Madden, is it even possible that that's going to happen in the future? Or is this, and I wondered this about Nico, is this the last time you can do something like this, and that's why they're doing it? They're rolling the dice, because if we go into revenue share and there are contracts and they do away with this spring portal, what we're going through right now doesn't happen.
Not at this time of year.
Not at this time of year. Now, you might get into a situation in the fall where you're getting ready to play your first game and they hold you hostage. There's got to be something done that prevents agents, handlers, fathers from holding programs hostage at critical moments. There's got to be, and you talked about this a minute ago, that there's no one's going to feel sorry for multimillionaire coaches, but they do need to have some basic knowledge that this guy's going to be with me throughout the season. Pro coaches that have players under contracts, they don't go into the playoffs wondering, man, hope this guy stays with me through the playoffs. Or, every trade I've made, every free agent acquisition that I've made has been centered around the fact that this quarterback's going to be back next year. Well, in the pros, you know whether he is or he isn't because he's already under contract.
That, and you have a collective bargaining agreement, and the players are represented with the players' union, and that also means they're held accountable. Like the players' union, they'll stick up for their guys, but there's a certain level that they have to live up to as well, and everybody knows it. And when you don't show up or you do something that is against your contract, you pay a fine.
You're right. Well, and also, too, when you lose a player, you get compensated. If you lose a player through free agency, you get a compensatory draft pick.
So here's the issue that I wonder about, even when we get to rev share, Chuck. So now we have a pot of money the school can pay directly. Right now we have a pot of money that the school is using like a third party to pay, the collective.
Right.
It's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be more regulated, and there's a set, quote, salary cap, for the athletic department. But here's what can happen. This can still happen as long as we have the transfer portal like this, because the school can directly decide how they want to spend their money. So if you want to take $1 million of your 20.5 and you want to give it to a player who's on another team, you can just call that player. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to tamper. But you can just call that player and say, hey, if you get in the portal, here's $1 million. What are you making now? We know, okay, you're making $600. We'll give you $1 million. We need a quarterback. So when the portal is and how much you have to live up to an agreement are just a couple of key factors in this whole thing. But rev share's not going to necessarily keep this from happening.
No.
It's just everybody will have at least $20.5 million, so you can afford to do some things perhaps that you haven't been able to do before. But yesterday we had the poll question, Arkansas a basketball or a football school? Like 800 people weighed in and predominantly said you're a basketball school. Here's what can happen within an athletic department. Like if you're this new general manager, Remy Cofield, working with Hunter Yurachek, how do you decide who you're giving your money to? Because if you have a chance to win a national championship in basketball and Cal needs another $2 million, what would that $2 million do for football? Or baseball? But this is really a basketball, football conversation. These other sports, it's going to be whatever. Like, though, they're not driving revenue.
This is so revenue driven now. I think, and I realize that's kind of an understatement, but it is. That's the whole deal now. That determines who wins and who loses. It doesn't necessarily determine who the national champion is, but it determines the pool of teams that it's going to come from. And if you're not in that pool, if you don't have that kind of money, you're not going to be the one at the end. You're not even going to be in that group. I'll go back to what I said yesterday. Arkansas was a game under 500 in Muss's final year as a basketball coach. What changed? Money. That's what changed. The roster. That's what changed. Cal's a great coach. Cal's a Hall of Fame coach. Cal's arguably in a class by himself. But Muss is a pretty damn good coach. And, you give Muss or any other coach out there a big budget and they're going to field a better team. You give any coach out there on the football side a limited budget and he's going to come up with limited results. Take a look. Take a look at the Southeastern Conference right now, and we're involved in this. When you look at the spring portal, the guys that are leaving now and the guys that are coming in, when you look at an SEC school, look at the schools that they're getting their players from. I noticed Georgia brought in 3 or 4 guys out of the spring portal. I think one of them was from Miami. The other was an all-conference linebacker at Army. The other, I forget who he was. He was from a Power 4 school. Look at some of the schools in the bottom part of the SEC and look where their transfers are coming from. Small schools. You know why? Money. Money. Pure and simple. Money. It's not because the guys at Georgia are better evaluators. It's because they got more money. Pure and simple. And
so it's the old method of how do you get a 4 or 5 star to come to your place if you're not winning enough games, right? So you got to go find the 3 star and you got to turn them into a 4 star. Well, now that's what money's getting you in the portal. You got to find that diamond in the rough because that's what you can afford.
Well, and again, your budget allows you, if you need 3 or 4 guys to come through for you and you've got a pool of 6 or 7 guys, and I'm just throwing numbers out, your pool is going to be better. Your talent pool is going to be better. The guys you're picking from are going to be better. I was hoping it wouldn't be like this, but and admittedly, I can be a little bit cynical, but that's the whole game right now. If you don't have the budget, good luck.
Speaking of budgets, First Security Bank can help you manage your finances. They can help you with a bank account, can help you with a savings account. They can help you just bank, and they can help you bank better. First Security Bank's the official bank of the Chuck and Bo Show. You bank better with more convenient locations all over our state, and you walk in there to smiling, friendly professionals who are going to help you with whatever you need. Any question or just setting up the accounts you need to set up, transferring, whatever it is, fsbank.com. You can find them online. First Security Bank, member FDIC, the official bank of the Chuck and Bo Show. 877-377-6963 if you want to text or call the show. How does this leave you feeling about Arkansas football? Not that Madden Iamaleava is going to UCLA, but just the climate that we're in with football. We'll take some of your thoughts coming up. 6:45. Good morning. Touching the hearts of Arkansans, the passive-aggressive Chuck and Bo Show. Good morning.
Hey, you can beat inflation and upgrade your ride at Chevy of Fayetteville. Right now, drive home a brand new Chevy Silverado, Blazer, Equinox EV, or the Tough 2500 with rates as low as 1.9% APR. Plus, take advantage of huge discounts and get top dollar for your trade-in. Go see Chris, Mark, and Denver at Chevy of Fayetteville, where the deals are big and the road ahead is even better. Chevy of Fayetteville. Let's drive. If you've been hurt in a car wreck, if you're struggling to get your Social Security disability, or you're buried in debt thinking about bankruptcy, don't wait. You need a legal team that knows how to fight for Arkansans.
That's why you can trust Cadell Reynolds. Bill Reynolds and his team know how to get results when it matters most. Whether it's personal injury, disability, or bankruptcy, they've got the experience and they've got your back.
So don't go it alone. Make the right call. Dial 866-314-3728 or visit CadellReynolds.com today.
With Oaklawn Sports, the action never stops and the season is never over. It's now easier than ever to wager on your favorite sports all year long. Go from football to basketball to baseball to golf. Bet on what you want, when you want, with the brand you trust. Oaklawn Sports even offers ways to bet on cricket, rugby, table tennis, and more. If it's a sport, chances are you can wager on it. Plus, it's now simpler to deposit and withdraw money from your account. Bet all year long with Oaklawn Sports, Arkansas's best sports betting app. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
There's simply not a better shopping experience than Macadoodles. Looking for the best selection of beer, wine, and spirits? Macadoodles or Guess Who in Bentonville has you covered. With an unbeatable selection, amazing prices, and service that's unbeatable, they've got everything you need. Whether you're stocking up for a party, updating your bar, or just grabbing your favorites, Roger and the team are always there to help. Make the smart choice. Macadoodles, just north of Bella Vista at the state line, and Guess Who in Bentonville.
We care a lot about supporting Arkansas businesses here on the Chuck and Bo Show, and we both like keeping our rides looking good. Splash Car Wash just became our new neighbors here in Fayetteville. They're a locally owned Arkansas business, and they've been serving the state since 1989. They're good folks, and you can get a free car wash by texting Splash Arkansas to 22322. That's Splash Arkansas to 22322.
If you haven't tried a flight by Yuengling, you're missing out on the great taste of Yuengling that is a light beer. It's the next generation of light beer. Get it on draft, in the can, the new skinny cans, and now the new 16-ounce resealable twist-off aluminum bottle. Perfect for any occasion. It's just 95 calories, and you're still enjoying a Yuengling. Take your beer game to new heights with Flight by Yuengling, the next generation of light beer.
How was Saturday night for you after the game? What'd you do to celebrate?
The only few I thought maybe get a few cold beers in there and maybe help it out a little bit.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
You can't handle it.
One of the
How many
greats.
times has that line been played? Millions.
Right.
Millions.
It's one of those that just gets quoted all the time. Jack Nicholson, 88 today.
When I
88
think of
years
Jack Nicholson, I think of Jack Nicholson in the Lakers prime when he was always on the sidelines and I mean,
Glasses.
he's the first celebrity that we really watched on television sitting at the courtside seats at professional sporting events. He's the one that kind of
Maybe
started the phenomenon.
Spike Lee around that time.
Yeah,
in
but
New
Spike
York.
came after.
Yeah.
I mean, Spike
Okay.
was he was a kid when Jack was first starting to do that out in L.A. But he was as big a part of Showtime on some nights as the Lakers themselves. I mean, the Lakers played in the Forum. Jack was going to be there.
Favorite Jack Nicholson movies. Edward and Bart have a list of, and they don't even have it written down. They
Just
just
off the tops of
yeah.
their
They
heads.
go ahead, fire away.
Well, I mean, like a lot of people remember him for playing the Joker and Batman. That was A Few Good Men there in the rejoiner. I mean, he was in, The Shining is maybe one of
Johnny.
his most iconic roles. Of course, he was in The Departed. I mean, gosh,
One Flew Over the
One Flew Over the
Nest.
Cuckoo's
What
Nest.
you
As
got?
good as it gets. Terms of endearment, like
Anger management.
Anger
with
management.
Adam Sandler's
That
by
was- yeah, that was
far my
great.
favorite role. It's so funny.
That was a good
Yeah,
one.
that was a classic.
Just a great,
And that memorable movie, The Witches of Eastwick.
great actor.
He was
Just
in that.
iconic.
Yeah.
A Few Good
I
Men
mean,
though is
three-time Oscar winner. Surprisingly, did not win the Oscar for A Few Good Men. And then I had to check and see who did. And
Who
it was,
did?
It was Gene Hackman for Unforgiven, and it's kind of like, well, okay. I mean,
Yeah, it was Gene Hackman.
Fair.
back when we had great movies at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Like just really great movies at the movie theater.
Right.
Back then.
Back when we went to the movie
what a
theater.
time.
Well, that's why.
You know.
What a time
That's why
to be
you went
alive.
back, because you had great movies.
That's right.
JR's in Shady Grove. JR, you're on the Chuck and Bo Show. Good morning.
Morning, guys. How y'all?
Doing great.
You know, just a couple of thoughts here on my end. By all indications, the kid, Madden, I can't pronounce his last name, but he
Iamaleava.
was actually, he had actually worked himself into the second position.
Yeah, that's not quite right. He moved himself into contention for the second position.
Okay.
That'd be fair.
But he, hearing Trey Biddy talk and some of the others talked about, how he was really a complete package. The whole thing is this right here. We've destroyed, recruiting with this stuff. We destroyed bowl games with all this stuff that's going on. I don't know what you would put in place, to try to navigate, through this whole process. It's bad, for kids that, are trying to go through the process, I guess, in what we call the correct way. But I guess we're going to have to get used to just how this is all going to pan out, because I just don't see any way of getting around it unless there's some kind of, regulations put in place, for what's going on,
It's just a new wrinkle everybody's got to deal with. It's more than a wrinkle. It's a big deal. But right now it's about the money. In the past, it was about, like, is your program good enough to attract a certain level of player? Now it's, do you have enough money to be in the hunt for that? And by the way, you still have to attract that player to come to your program. Like, they got to want to be in your program, and you got to pay them as much or more than somebody else. We're going to go into rev share, but, with this transfer portal situation, you have a good guy and somebody wants to pay him, they can still come get him.
Ty Story, high school football coach and former college quarterback.
I love coaching, but it's a lot more fun after LASIK. Now when I'm coaching, I can focus on my players and not my eyes. After LASIK, my eyes are even better than before when I had glasses or wore contacts. The McDonald Eye Team was great. They put me at ease. I couldn't believe how well I was seeing the day after surgery. Good vision and good football go together. I'm really glad I trusted my eyes to McDonald Eye Associates.
See your best with safe and affordable LASIK from McDonald Eye Associates. Register for your free consultation at mcdonaldeye.com.
I always enjoy talking about Weicker Realtors, the Griffin Company. If you followed my radio career, you remember they were partners on the original sports rap radio program over 20 years ago. We've done business together from an advertising perspective, but more importantly, they've been my partners in buying and selling homes. I'd recommend them to anybody. They're in Northwest Arkansas, the River Valley, and in Branson. Weicker Realtors, the Griffin Company, turning houses into homes since 1978.
The doors are open, and it's a new era of elegance. Blakeman's Fine Jewelry has unveiled its stunningly redesigned 8,500 square foot showroom for an unmatched luxury experience. There's breathtaking jewelry, of course, expert service, and private viewing rooms designed for comfort. And they've got an in-house cafe with handcrafted coffee to go along with a special coffee table book celebrating Arkansas's heritage. Because it's more than jewelry, it's your story at Blakeman's Fine Jewelry. If you're having issues with your gutters or drainage around the house, you need to call Hog Trough Gutters. They're locally owned and operated with over 30 years of experience. Seamless gutters made on site, trenching and French drains. Plus, they're fully licensed and insured, and every job comes with a 20-year guarantee. Hog Trough Gutters services all of Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Log on to their website, hoggutters.com, to find out more. That's hog, Gutters.com.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
I don't know what on time is for you, but yeah, you got here before the show started.
Whatever. Hey, have you ever seen anyone that takes so much pride in being the first one here?
Previously heard on Chuck and Bo.
I'm a little disappointed. It cost me $100 today. But every time we have a guest on and they tell Chuck that he asked a great question, and they don't say that to me, it's another $100 that Chuck's getting out of my pocket.
Can you ask me what my name is?
Coach, what's your name?
What a great question.
Hey,
even Steven.
Hey, we're rigging this thing now. It's rigged now.
Nobody's ever asked me that. It's Samuel Don Pittman. Man, what a great question. Nobody's ever said me that
The
thought.
Chuck and Bo Show.
I would resist the urge to drink this morning.
Stop. I'm done.
You said a lot of good things there.
Well, I don't know if I said one good thing.
I met a guy last night. Love y'all to death, Jeff.
You mind if I share?
I'm looking forward to it.
The show of record for Razorback fans.
I'm in my Sunday school, and first thing he says when we hop in the car, he says, "What's heard on the Chuck and Bo Show?"
It's too early for this kind of conversation. I'm still half asleep.
Here are your hosts, Chuck Barrett and Bo Mattingly.
Well, it's too bad we didn't have the spring game because Madden Iamaleava could have had a swan song. We could have seen him play.
Madden, we hardly knew you.
One and done. We could have seen him
Madden
play.
Iamaleava.
We didn't see this guy play.
Pittman doesn't have to worry about saying it now either. No one has to worry about saying Iamaleava.
Iamaleava's
Do you feel like a giant weight has been
Actually, I
off
do.
your
Actually,
shoulders?
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
And really,
You thought you were going to have to meet his dad, didn't you? Like before a game. And you're going to have small talk.
I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, I guess it might have happened. I hadn't really considered that possibility.
I think I'll go the other way.
We're going to talk money. We're going to talk, business strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Nico's dad, I'm thinking about holding out on the Chuck and Bo show.
Boy, that
What
would've
do you think? I think I'm maybe going to transfer over to, one of the other shows.
I mean, the guy decommitted from UCLA. It's just a bizarre story. Decommitted, came here. His brother goes to UCLA from Tennessee for what seems like a worse situation. And Madden's like, what a great idea. It's like they're building Noah's Ark out there. They're the only two people that understand it. Because it just doesn't make sense but again, this is the whole world that we're in with transfers and money, and we don't even know what's going on, and there's no transparency, and everything's a secret, and it is unrestricted free agency in college football, and everybody's in play.
Think about if you're Madden, all right? You want to talk about brother shadow? I mean, holy cow. You're going to go out there to UCLA. You're going to be his backup. He's going to be you're going to be little brother from the minute you walk on that campus until the minute he goes to whatever school he's going to go to next.
There was some high school coach years ago that had a 2-quarterback offense. He had 2 quarterbacks on the field at the same time. 2-quarterback offense.
Maybe that's what they're going to do.
What they're going to do at UCLA.
Try to trick everybody.
Yeah, why not? Might as well give it a shot. Charlie's in Camden. Charlie, you are on the Chuck and Bo Show. Good morning.
Guys, is this a comedy show now? Are we just? What are we doing? I officially think that this whole thing has turned into just a whole comedy thing. It's almost funny.
It's a reality show.
Almost
yes.
A reality comedy.
Keeping up with the Iamaleavas.
Yeah, like the Ball. Didn't the Ball family do something?
Yeah, LeVar.
Yeah, just go ahead. Let's just make a show out of it. I don't know. Look, it's not just them though. I don't want to.
No, that's the point. Like we're not even sitting here being critical of Madden for leaving. It doesn't change to me Arkansas's football program. It's just the example of what we don't understand that's happening all the time. Like in college athletics, we just don't get all this news cycle around it.
It's just bizarre, Bo. It's insane. Chuck, you've been around a while, and look, I don't mean that ugly. And Bo, you've been around not as long as Chuck, but Bart, he's a young guy, and he's like growing up in this era that all this is going on. But I remember, the old days. Look, I'm not saying that was right either, but because I believe that these kids need to be paid and all of this stuff. But guys, when is somebody going to do something to where it's like I'm just banging my head against the wall at this point, because it's like there's no rules whatsoever. There are none, and it feels like how can fans call in here during the football season? This makes it more difficult now for me. The more I see this stuff, we want to judge Sam Pittman. We want him to go 12-0 every year. You know how fans are. Like, it's hard enough to put a team together, okay? And it's like every time they step out there, they have to play perfect. They have to coach perfect, because if they don't, I'm sorry, we don't have the resources that a Ohio State or an Alabama. They can just pay and play, pay and replace. It's like we are. This is insane. I don't even know. I'm venting, but it's like I just hope that at some point soon they get some hold on this. But I don't know, Chuck. I mean, where are we heading? I mean, what are we doing?
We're headed for a flight by Yingling. The next generation of light beer, 95 calories, tastes like a Yingling, but it's a light beer. You can have more of them while you sort this out, at walk-ons or something with your friend. Like, this is the question. If you're Arkansas, what do you do to compete in this environment? What do you do to compete in this environment?
Well, I think the first thing that we need to do is step back for just a second and realize that what we're talking about is a third-string quarterback leaving.
Oh, yeah. I'm not talking about, again, and I'm glad you said that, because I don't want it to sound like this is about him. This is just an opportunity to talk about the bigger picture.
I got you. I understand what you're
right.
saying. I understand what you're saying. I don't know necessarily what the big picture answer is. Other than you need more budget. That's and I know it sounds cynical to say that, and people say, well, you use it as an excuse, but I mean, look at college sports right now. I mean, the teams with the biggest budgets are the teams that are winning.
How good does it feel as a Razorback fan when you see a post on The Athletic or ESPN.com or on social media from one of these credible news outlets, and it's like Arkansas among the top tier of NIL schools in basketball. Mm-hmm. You kind of puff your chest out like, we got money, we're going to compete in basketball. How rare is that? How rare has that been for a Razorback fan?
Well, it's never happened before.
It's unique.
I
sure.
mean, it's and that is a nice situation to be in. I know people think that, well, you just hire the right guy and the money flows. And if you really look at our basketball situation right now, it's not as though it's been funded by the fans of Arkansas, so to speak. It's been funded by a small group of people. That's what you have to have. That's how your program, pick your program. Pick your sport, pick your school. The ones that are winning big, that's what they've got. I don't know how much money there is to go around. I honestly don't know. I don't run in that group, so I don't know how much money there is to go around. It's there's a select few right now that are running the show, and they're the ones with the money. And I think it's part of the reason that the average Joe out there feels more disconnected than ever. Because when we have people like you and me on here who are sitting, and I admit it, who sit here and say, well, if you don't have the money, it's not going to happen. You're sitting there and you don't have any money, and your team doesn't have any money. Well, gosh, why am I even going? And I know people fall into that trap, and I do too. We had a text a little bit earlier from someone in North Little Rock. It's where Grayson Wilson's from. He played at Conway, but he's from North Little Rock. I wonder what he's thinking right now. I mean, here's a guy that's dreamt his whole life of playing for the Razorbacks. Signs. Nobody's talking about him. Taylon's here, and we're glad he is. KJ Jackson's here. We're glad he is. And Iamaleava leaves, and I'm glad it happened now as opposed to later, just for the record. But I wonder how he feels. Those are the guys you pull for. Those are the guys you'd like to see come in and do well. There are days you just want to throw your hands up. But there are also days where it's pretty good. Your point about basketball is well made. And that's where the money's going right now.
And football's a different animal. I mean, basketball's an easier thing to get your hands around to go,
There's no comparison.
And so when you talk about being a basketball or football school, as we got into yesterday in the poll question, overwhelmingly, 800 people responded, and overwhelmingly it's like basketball
88%.
school. And I get that because you feel like you can sort of manage that. And how do you manage the monstrosity of a football program with the situation you're in now? That's the challenge. I'm just interested to hear what people think about it. How do you feel about it? I'm not sitting here, I don't think Chuck is either, saying, Arkansas football's doomed and they're not going to be any good. I think Arkansas has just as much of a shot to win 6+ games this year as they did last year. But we'll take your thoughts. David's in Searcy. Hey, David, good morning. You're on the Chuck and Bo Show.
Good morning, guys. So far, let me tell you, y'all have had a great show. The sound bites, man, I've laughed out loud several times. It's just
that's what we're going for.
A1, man.
That's exactly what we're going for.
Go outside,
That's
nerd.
why we listen.
Get out.
Hey, that's why we listen every day. Listen, I hate to admit this, but I'll be honest with you. This situation with this Iamaleava kid, I promise, it has actually upset me. And it may be because I'm an old guy or something, but the situation has upset me. It really has. It's like finding your wife with the pool boy. Hey, wait a minute. I thought we had something. No, you had nothing. You just thought you had something.
It's a whole other show there.
And listen, I'll get off here real quick. I'll be the first one. 6-6 for this season. I've evaluated every area, linebackers, offensive line, and I'm only giving a 6-6 because Taylon Green is in his second season in Petrino's offense. I think we could stretch it out and get to 6-6. So no, Bo, we're not a football school yet. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, David. Tracy's in Crossit. Tracy, good morning. You're on the Chuck and Bo Show.
Why y'all wasting all this time talking about somebody that wasn't going to play anyway? Y'all.
Well, again, I'm not trying, just so we're clear, and I get why it doesn't maybe sound like this. I don't care. I'm not trying to talk about Madden. I'm trying to use this to talk about how this goes on all the time and how challenging it is to navigate it for all of these coaches.
Okay. No, my question was this. Watching, something came across Facebook the other day about Colorado. My question is this. Why aren't we not recognizing the players at Arkansas? I mean, why is Ryan Mallett jersey not retired?
Well, you got you got national championship legendary basketball players.
Well, just for the record, what Colorado's doing right now is, I can see retiring Travis Hunter's jersey. He won a Heisman Trophy. Now, I loved Ryan Mallett, maybe my favorite Razorback ever, but he didn't win a Heisman Trophy. And they're also retiring Shedeur Sanders' jersey. He went 13-12 over the course of his Colorado career. He finished 8th in the Heisman voting, but he's having his jersey number retired. Now, if people think that's the way to go, then you can go without me, because that's silly. I can see the Hunter thing retiring, and look, I like Shedeur Sanders and I like Dion, but that's an absolute joke. Retiring his number. And we do not want to go down that road. Retiring numbers should be reserved for a very select few. Very select.
Well, there's some
doesn't mean you don't hang a banner with their number up
ahead
there.
Of Shedeur at
well,
Colorado.
yeah, right. I get what you're saying, Tracy. I get what you're saying, but Colorado's not a good example right now. I just got to say that part.
Okay, but we still got legends that Arkansas. Dan Hampton. Is his jersey retired? Or put him in the Ring of Honor? You don't necessarily have to.
Well, he's in the University of Arkansas Sports Hall of Honor. He is in the Hall of Honor. He is in the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. I don't know of a lot of college programs, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that have what would be akin to like the Cowboys Ring of Honor, where they've got all their names ringing the stadium. Maybe some do, but I don't recall seeing them. I think when you start talking about retiring numbers, that I'm not going to say it's a bridge too far, but it's the final bridge. And I don't think that recognition's bad. But the idea that somehow we're not recognizing our former players, I don't know that that's entirely true. I know there are some from time to time who get their feelings hurt. They're not allowed in the locker room. They're not allowed to come back and have full reign over the campus the way they did when they played. And that's a hard realization for some people when they come back. But I don't buy into this stuff about, we're not doing enough to recognize our former players. Because I think, like, for example, what Colorado's doing right now, I don't think that really helps their program at all.
That's all Dion and his aura and his guys and really short-term thinking, but also I can pull this off, so I'm going to do this for my guys. Like, that's it.
All that said, I'll just say this. Nobody should be wearing number 5 on that football team. Not a single person should be wearing number 5 on that team.
Fair enough. But, they retired Clyde Scott's number. You're too young to remember Clyde Scott. There's a generation
I've heard about him from Clay Henry for years.
There's a generation of Arkansans that believed he was the best player to ever put on a uniform.
I understand that.
And they unretired it for Steve Little. And I would have no problem with retiring Darren McFadden's number. But let's not be naive and think there won't be somebody come down the line that wants to wear number 5. And if we want him bad enough, we'll give him that jersey number.
Hey, don't miss the last weekends of live thoroughbred racing at Oaklawn ending May 3rd. Visit oaklawn.com/racing for details and reservations and book your stay at the Forbes recommended Oaklawn Hotel and the 4-star Forbes Spa. Those are few and far apart. The closest ones to where we are Chicago and Houston. That's the kind of spa you get at Oaklawn. Make it a weekend. Make it a weekend to remember. Forbes recommended hotel. Book your stay and make your plans to visit Oaklawn in beautiful Hot Springs. The pool officially opens this month. In fact, it's already open. Exclusive to hotel guests and spa guests. And they've got headliners coming to the event center. Go to oaklawn.com for all the details on that. 877-377-6963. It's the Chuck and Bo Show, 719.
I don't like getting up early in the mornings. Even to go duck hunting, but I do get up every morning now to listen to you guys.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
It seems like everything is more expensive this year, but replacing your AC doesn't have to be. If you need to replace your AC this summer, before you commit, price check with Paschal. You can save money and use the professionals to replace your system. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing you chose the best option for your home. Visit gopaschal.com and with just a few clicks, see how much you can save with the Paschal price check. Paschal Air, Plumbing, and Electric.
Guys, regardless of our age, feeling good is something we all want. That's what the Sweatnum Edge is all about. It's where health, confidence, and peak performance come together. We all face challenges like low energy, hair loss, who's looking at me, stubborn weight, and skin health. The good news is we can do something about it. Get your free evaluation today and see where you are. Chuck and I have both done it and are better off for it. Log on to SweatnumCosmetic.com and click on the Sweatnum Edge.
First Security is about more than great banking. Yes, we provide the financial expertise, digital tools, and everything else you need when you need it. But we also go all in on local support with friendly professionals, plus convenient locations all across the state. Because we believe personal banking is better banking. Visit fsbank.com for details. That's fsbank.com for friendly, local banking with First Security. Bank better. Member FDIC.
There's simply not a better shopping experience than Macadoodles. Looking for the best selection of beer, wine, and spirits? Macadoodles or Guess Who in Bentonville has you covered. With an unbeatable selection, amazing prices, and service that's unbeatable, they've got everything you need. Whether you're stocking up for a party, updating your bar, or just grabbing your favorites, Roger and the team are always there to help. Make the smart choice. Macadoodles, just north of Bella Vista at the state line, and Guess Who in Bentonville.
There's nothing like a college football Saturday, a few beers, your phone, and Twitter.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
On my bucket list is to be around a campfire with Chuck when he's got a couple in him. And I want to hear the stories.
I know anything I would say would be fodder for this show,
Absolutely.
and I would be made fun of.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
It's going to be good to see the Razorback baseball team get back out tonight.
Tonight, UALR, 6:30.
That's is it a one game?
2 games.
It's 2 games.
Playing tomorrow at 5.
I don't know if that's great for them. I think they could use the rest, but maybe they'll get some guys. I know how.
Got to get some guys
BBH
going,
likes
man.
To get some other guys going. Yeah.
You got to get some guys swinging the sticks. The weather's starting to warm up. This is when the good teams start hitting the ball. And I'm going to be anxious to see if their offense clicks back in. I would expect them to score some runs in this 2-game series, although it's not an automatic. But I want to see this weekend what happens.
Hey, take the show with you anywhere by downloading the Hit That Line Now app. Easy app to use. It's just a play button, and you'll get anything playing on ESPN Arkansas when you hit that play button. So between 6 and 9 every morning, that's the Chuck and Bo Show. You can also catch our show on demand. By the way, the Hit That Line Now app, powered by Taco Bell. Catch us on demand on podcast at Spotify or Apple, wherever you get podcasts. And you can always catch us here on YouTube streaming as well and streaming on social media at Chuck and Bo Show. Let's go back to the phone. Cecil's in Fort Smith. Cecil, you left us.
Still in Fort Smith.
He's still there, but disappeared. I don't know why it does that. Why it shows that. Is he back? Oh, so he left one line.
I got
and he returned on another.
Pulled a fast one.
Cecil.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Chuck. In the crew, how y'all doing?
Doing great.
I jumped in, man.
Chuck in the crew.
New show name.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, yeah. I actually jumped in a little late. You know, I try to catch y'all when it first come on. But I knew y'all was talking about. I actually thought y'all was talking about Nico, but I see his brother left, and whoop-de-doo, we don't need him at the welfare feeding. I don't even know what he looked like. So, and we definitely gonna win more than 6 games, and I know we'll be better than where we were last year. The games that we lost really close, those are the games that we'll win this year. And for the contracts and people just getting the money and leave, that's ridiculous. You get a paycheck and then you jump to another school. And I definitely agree with Boyd when Boyd said something about a contract. It's got to be a contract, meaning an understanding of what you're getting into and what you're getting out of. So, that's about all I had to say today. But I love the show. Y'all know I do. I listen every day. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thanks, Cecil. Appreciate you calling. 877-377-6963 if you want to call or text the show. Again, it's not about Madden Iamaleava leaving the Razorback football team. There's 2 things here. There is just a weird story. Like, to me, like, this whole thing's just weird with him and his brother.
This
like,
never set
I don't
right
get
with
it.
me.
No, it
never set right
just
with
strange.
me.
And so I don't know what else might come out about it, but I'm just naturally curious about it. To me, it just creates the opportunity, as Sam Pittman alluded to when he was on the show Friday, of to talk about what's really happening in college athletics now. And it's crazy. Like, we made the joke. Like, literally, this is how it's happening. Now, the portal has closed. And I don't know if you were able to look it up, Bart, and find when, like, the portal windows, you sent it to me, when the portal windows are open. But right now the portal's closed. But if it were open, you have a situation. It's a couple weeks in mid-December and then a week in April. That's when the portal opens. But if Madden had said, a few days ago that he was leaving, all of a sudden, if you're KJ Jackson, you can turn around and go in like, I'm more valuable now. And maybe I want more money. Because now you really got him. Like, you might not have a backup quarterback next year. Like, that's crazy. I'm not saying that he would do that, but he could. And that's
well,
at every position. But that's at every position.
You let him go.
But think about this. That's at every position. Like, that's why you can't pay. If you're Tennessee, you couldn't pay Nico. You pay him, then you're going to have a line out your office the next day with a linebacker and a corner and a running back saying, hey, I don't know if you realize, but this guy that went to Georgia that they paid, I got better stats than he does. Why am I not getting that? But Tennessee is probably also worse off at quarterback now.
They're getting UCLA's quarterback.
Isn't that great?
I mean, it's basically
Didn't
a trade.
He come from App State?
He went to He was from App State, transferred to UCLA, and now he's transferring to Tennessee. Yeah, Aguilar, something like that. He is going to be, evidently, at the least, he's going to compete for the starting quarterback job at Tennessee. It sounds like he's going to get it. And so they've basically made a trade. I got to say this. Arkansas is better off that this has happened now than for it to happen later on. This whole thing never set right with me. It just never made a lot of sense to me, frankly, that he was here. I don't know that he was ever going to play down here, because here's what would have happened if, let's say, he'd won the job. Let's say next year, fast forward, Taylor Green's gone. He wins the job. He goes in there the night before the first game and says, man, pay me now or it's over. And what's to stop him from doing that? And based on what we've seen right now, that's not an unrealistic expectation. In fact, it's probably something that would have happened. So I say good riddance. Yeah. And
look, there is a level to this, Chuck, that you have to still do your best to go get guys that you believe in terms of who they are. We can all sit around and say you can't blame anybody for taking more money and going wherever and doing whatever. But at some level, you still have to hope or do your diligence and try to get somebody that you guys agree. And your word means something to them, and their word means something to you. And honestly, somewhat surprisingly, I think we've got more of that than not, because the situations that we're seeing here, while they happen every day and all over the place, there are more guys who are sticking with their deal than guys that are leaving.
No, you're right about that. You're right about that.
But you know, like, anybody can do it. But at some point, you got to hope you're getting somebody that's got some depth to them that's going to live up to their word. And by the way, as a coach, you got to live up to yours. You can't get out ahead of yourself and promise something that you then can't back up later, which is also a problem in college athletics, because a coach might think, oh, I can offer this, but they end up not being able to, and it backfires.
Well, you know, part of the deal, and I know we got to hit a break here, but we all assume when revenue share rolls around that everybody's going to have $20.5 million. You got to go raise that money. So, you know, there's that's still out there. Again, I know we got to hit a break, and before we do, though, I want to talk to you about Chevy of Fayetteville. You can beat inflation, and you can upgrade your ride at Chevy of Fayetteville. Not just at Chevy of Fayetteville, but throughout the Fayetteville Auto Park. They've got great brands: Honda, Acura, Chevy, Toyota. Right now, you can drive home in a brand-new Chevy, though, Silverado, a Blazer, the Tough 2500, rates as low as 1.9% APR, plus huge discounts and top dollar for your trade-in throughout the Fayetteville Auto Park. Go by and see them. Let's drive at the Fayetteville Auto Park. It's going to be a tough slog from now till the end of time.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
If you haven't tried a flight by Yuengling, you're missing out on the great taste of Yuengling that is a light beer. It's the next generation of light beer. Get it on draft, in the can, the new skinny cans, and now the new 16-ounce resealable twist-off aluminum bottle. Perfect for any occasion. It's just 95 calories, and you're still enjoying a Yuengling. Take your beer game to new heights with Flight by Yuengling, the next generation of light beer.
Oaklawn is your hot springs escape. Enjoy plush comfort, upscale dining, and Arkansas's only Forbes 4-star rated spa at our luxury hotel. And with easy access to Hot Springs National Park and sparkling lakes, Oaklawn is your home base for everything the region has to offer. Come stay, play, and get away at Oaklawn, a Forbes Travel Guide recommended hotel. Make your reservation at oaklawn.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
When is the last time you thought, oh, the SEC's making an announcement today, and it's going to be good for the Hogs?
The Chuck and Bo Show.
you're just going to have to go today. You're just going to have to. Today is going to be
what I
maybe
told myself.
one of those days you're just going to have to go, and you'll be glad you did.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
You know what I love about doing this show is like we're all over Arkansas.
Love it.
We got the app now. We got all this social media stuff. It's not just the people in the backyard anymore.
No, sir.
Little Rock, Mountain Home, Center Ridge. Let's go to the capital city. Zach is on the line. Zach, you're on the Chuck and Bo Show.
Zach, good morning.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Hey, I have one question for you guys. Me and the guy here at work are talking about it. Are these players being paid before they hit a practice field or show any sort of commitment, or does the portal have to close and then they get paid? Because if they're getting paid before the portal closes, then they can just leave, and they've just taken some of our money that could have went to some other player.
No, that happens.
That makes sense?
Yeah, I don't think they get paid the full amount, without fulfilling the time that it would take to get the full amount. Kind of like Nico at Tennessee. He didn't get his full amount. He could have got up to $10 million had he stayed there. So I don't know how they're all constructed specifically, but I do believe that it's paid out in portions, not all lump sum up front.
Gotcha.
But he did get money for not playing in a game. That'd be fair to say. He got money. Yeah, he got money. And, man, he doesn't have to pay it back.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what I wanted to know.
All right, man. Thanks for checking in.
It is, let's just be honest. All the advantages are with the players when it comes to stuff like this. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that's a reality that, that you got to pay attention to. Sean's in Mountain Home. Sean, you're on the Chuck and Bo Show. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, I think the only way, besides the money, is to limit the number of times you can hit the portal, unless, like one time, unless there's a coaching change, or you have to sit out a year. I don't know. I just like your thoughts.
Yeah, that is part of the problem. What happened is the portal came along at the same time NIL came along. That's not really NIL. It's just pay for play. And the combination of those two things has led to unrestricted free agency. So guidelines are not really a thing right now. And you're going to change some of that when you get into rev share this summer and going into the fall. But you're still going to be able to attract players with money if you need them and poach them from other schools. Sterling in Center Ridge, good morning, buddy.
Hey, guys. Hey, Chuck is exactly right. The players have all the leverage, but that's when you are playing, good, and they want you to be a starter. It's all about, how you perform. And people talk about 2 years contract. 1 year contract is not all bad because you have the flexibility to move on. If you sign somebody for that one season and he plays like a skunk smells and turns it over as more than an apple, then you can move on the next season. It still can work both ways when you're not the one happy. When the coach want to move on.
No, that's true.
Which used to be off the time in the spring. Guys used to be transfer to spring back in the day, not because they wanted to transfer, because the coaches told them you might not play this fall. You might need to look to go somewhere else. And that used to happen all the time. We have had a shift. It was one way, totally one-sided one way, and now we have totally switched back the other way, and we're trying to land somewhere in the middle. And how we get there, that's the question. But
yeah,
it's not a one-way street.
No, that's the whole thing. Sterling, this is what happened. Like everyone agreed, the players, deserve more. Okay. Nobody had the right plan on how to make that happen without complete chaos. So that's why it didn't happen for so long. And then states started creating their own laws that forced it to happen. And so the NCAA, who all along knew this was coming, and all of its member institutions and all the conferences that make it up, they all knew it was coming. And none of the adults, none of the powers that be did anything about it or could get anything done. I'm not saying they didn't try. They couldn't get anything done. And so then they were just handed this mess, and it's like, now you got to play catch up. Well, how do you do that? Because it's hard once you start down a wrong road and the toothpaste is out of the bottle, out of the tube, to be able to do anything like other than deal with that. You didn't have a plan on how you were going to create it. And that's what's led us to where we are today. Yeah, a total overcorrection. Absolutely. Thanks for the call. Always good to hear from you. Let's go to Harrison. Joe, you're on the Chuck and Bo Show.
Good morning, guys. This may be kind of like what people are saying already, but as a school, everybody keeps saying contracts. Is there not a way that you can promise someone this lump sum if they stick it out for the second year? I know that, you wouldn't have the obligations and promises that you do, like with an NBA contract or an NFL contract. But could you not just promise someone this larger amount of money if they stick around for a second year and they don't get that sum if they leave? What could you do on the school side there?
Well, Tennessee did that to an extent with Nico. I mean, he was going to get bonused out big at the end. If he'd stayed for 4 years, he was going to get like $10 million, something like that. But you can't say I'm not going to give you any money up front and you're going to have to come earn all this and we're going to pay you on the back end. I mean, theoretically, you could do that, but you're going to lose that player to somebody else.
Also, different states right now have different laws on what kind of agreement you can sign a college athlete to. Now, just think about how crazy that is.
Well, and most every state law was written by reactionary state legislators who were thinking they were doing something to help their alma mater. They're just trying. I mean, it's all reactionary legislation. And some of it's good, and some of it's like a lot of legislation that comes through states. It's not very well thought out. And so sometimes, again, you just want to throw your hands up, and I get all that. The one thing that I will say, Madden Iamaleava leaving is not going to affect this football season at Arkansas one iota. And I do feel good about that. I guess that's about the only thing, maybe.
Yeah. If you're dealing with personal injury, struggling to get Social Security disability, or drowning in debt, call the team that fights for Arkansans. Bill Reynolds and the attorneys at Cadell Reynolds know how to get results when it matters most, from car wrecks to denied disability claims to filing for bankruptcy. They got your back. Don't face it alone. You can call Cadell Reynolds at 866-314-3728 or visit CadellReynolds.com for a free consultation. Cadell Reynolds, make the right call. They can be your representation. 746, good morning. I'm not telling you that everything's great. I'm also not willing to say everything's terrible.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
I always enjoy talking about Weichert Realtors, the Griffin Company. If you followed my radio career, you remember they were partners on the original sports rap radio program over 20 years ago. We've done business together from an advertising perspective, but more importantly, they've been my partners in buying and selling homes. I'd recommend them to anybody. They're in Northwest Arkansas, the River Valley, and in Branson. Weichert Realtors, the Griffin Company, turning houses into homes since 1978.
I'm Dr. Scotty Bolding, a native Arkansan oral and maxillofacial surgeon. One of my goals is to make Arkansans healthier.
If you have sleep disorder breathing, it's important to treat it properly. The standard treatment's a breathing machine called CPAP. It helps you breathe during the night. However, there are other options thanks to some truly innovative and proven technologies.
Sleep is probably God's gift of medicine that we really don't utilize enough. If you have obstructive sleep apnea, it needs to be treated. So you need to be wearing your CPAP. So if you're not wearing your CPAP, there are some potential surgical solutions that can help you that actually work today. By correcting the jaw deformities that may be causing this obstructive sleep apnea is where we focus.
Dr. Bolding at Precedent Center for Facial and Dental Medicine works carefully with your sleep physician, determines where the underlying obstruction may be, and provides surgical solutions that open the airway, allowing you to breathe better.
Hey, give us a call, 479-755-3000, or log on to our website, precedent.com, PRECIDENT. We'd love to help.
We care a lot about supporting Arkansas businesses here on the Chuck and Bo Show, and we both like keeping our rides looking good. Splash Car Wash just became our new neighbors here in Fayetteville. They're a locally owned Arkansas business, and they've been serving the state since 1989. They're good folks, and you can get a free car wash by texting Splash Arkansas to 22322. That's Splash Arkansas to 22322.
Hey, it's Bo Mattingly, and McDonald Eye Associates is my one-stop for any vision need. The progressives they have me in are a game changer, and my new sunglasses are going to be great for baseball season. McDonald Eye was the first practice in the state to perform LASIK, and they have the most experience. They also have the new vision correction options for all ages, including cataract and clear lens replacement to see your best from all distances. For your best vision, McDonald Eye is the place to go.
Arkansas's one-stop automotive shop is right around the corner. Fayetteville Auto Park. FayettevilleAutoPark.com. Chevy, Toyota, Honda, Acura, Collision Center, all in one place. And if you're shopping pre-owned, Fayetteville Auto Park has you covered. With so many new cars sold, we always have a great selection of fresh trades. Why settle for anything less than the best? Fayetteville Auto Park, West Showroom Drive in Fayetteville. Proud sponsor of the Chuck and Bo Show.
Yeah, does Chuck sleep that much? Because it just sometimes...
He's old, so when you get old, you don't really sleep as much.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
I mean, look, we get up early. It's a 6 a.m. start here.
I wear the same thing every day.
You and I have like Jay Leno outfits.
I know,
we wear
that's
in
right.
Here. Yeah.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
We've heard from some fans, interested fans in the state of college football, and one of them weighed in about spending NIL money. And
This is a good text.
And not Chris in Nashville, season ticket holder here. I canceled my NIL donation months ago for this exact reason. NIL money going to players who lasted less than a semester here, not even the semester where the season is played. And what do I get back as a fan? A big old thank you from the player as he jets away.
That's really an example of the rock and a hard place that fans find themselves between. Because here's the thing. His reaction is completely understandable. Completely understandable. But yet it's counterproductive. You can't say you're not going to take a stand against the state of college football by punishing your team. And I'm not saying Chris is wrong to feel the way he is. It's a natural human sentiment. And it does show the predicament that fans are in, because there is no way to protest this other than to say, I think it sucks and it's terrible, and you call radio shows and complain. That's really your only recourse. Because when you say, I'm just not going to be a part of it anymore, the only program you're punishing is your own. And that's just, and again, that's the predicament. That's one of the things that makes this setup so bad for fans, is there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do about it.
Well, it goes back to when we started talking about this, when we began the show back in August, and NIL was a big topic, and and Hunter Yurachek went to the Touchdown Club, and he talked about, what it would take, and, they need 100 families or whatever to donate this, and they could whatever, and people didn't like it. But what are you to do if you're an athletic director? Where do you
think this $20.5 million is coming from? It doesn't magically appear. They're out raising that money. It may not be going to a collective now, but they're still out there raising that money.
It's just right in the budget.
And if they don't raise it, they hadn't got it to pay.
That's right.
It's not as though it just magically appears.
Hey, if you're struggling to sleep at night, maybe you've got sleep apnea, you already know you have sleep apnea, and you don't like wearing your CPAP. You say, hey, man, this is uncomfortable. Well, if you're not wearing your CPAP and you know you have sleep apnea, it could be driving your health risk up. But they've got solutions beyond a CPAP machine at the Precedent Center for Facial and Dental Medicine. Dr. Scotty Bolding, an Arkansas native, a world-renowned surgeon, has proven surgical alternatives that can help open your airway, help you sleep better, help you be healthier, and help you have a better life, helping Arkansas breathe better. The Precedent Center for Facial and Dental Medicine. Log on to precedent.com and see if you can get evaluated today. Almost 8 o'clock. Good morning.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, if you're struggling to get your Social Security disability, or you're buried in debt thinking about bankruptcy, don't wait. You need a legal team that knows how to fight for Arkansans.
That's why you can trust Cadell Reynolds. Bill Reynolds and his team know how to get results when it matters most. Whether it's personal injury, disability, or bankruptcy, they've got the experience and they've got your back.
So don't go it alone. Make the right call. Dial 866-314-3728 or visit CadellReynolds.com today.
Oaklawn is your hot springs escape. Enjoy plush comfort, upscale dining, and Arkansas's only Forbes 4-star rated spa at our luxury hotel. And with easy access to Hot Springs National Park and sparkling lakes, Oaklawn is your home base for everything the region has to offer. Come stay, play, and get away at Oaklawn, a Forbes Travel Guide recommended hotel. Make your reservation at oaklawn.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
The doors are open, and it's a new era of elegance. Blakeman's Fine Jewelry has unveiled its stunningly redesigned 8,500 square foot showroom for an unmatched luxury experience. There's breathtaking jewelry, of course, expert service, and private viewing rooms designed for comfort. And they've got an in-house cafe with handcrafted coffee to go along with a special coffee table book celebrating Arkansas's heritage. Because it's more than jewelry, it's your story at Blakeman's Fine Jewelry.
Hey, you can beat inflation and upgrade your ride at Chevy of Fayetteville. Right now, drive home a brand new Chevy Silverado, Blazer, Equinox EV, or the tough 2500 with rates as low as 1.9% APR. Plus, take advantage of huge discounts and get top dollar for your trade-in. Go see Chris, Mark, and Denver at Chevy of Fayetteville, where the deals are big and the road ahead is even better. Chevy of Fayetteville. Let's drive.
Previously heard on Chuck and Bo.
You're not going to get penalized for losing over there.
How do we feel about Chuck's word usage of the P word?
What are we talking about?
Penalized versus penalized.
Like when you play golf and you use the word penal. You don't say that's penal. You guys have the most limited vocabulary of any group of morons I've ever been around. Seriously, you guys are idiots. I'm not saying anymore. You guys are idiots. I'm not going to be made fun of for using a normal word.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
I would resist the urge to drink this much.
Stop. I'm done.
You said a lot of good things there.
Well, I don't know if I said one good thing.
I met a guy last night. Love y'all to death, Jeff.
You mind if I share?
I'm looking forward to it.
The show of record for Razorback fans.
I'm in my Sunday school, and first thing he says when we hop in the car, he says, "Let's turn on the Chuck and Bo Show."
It's too early for this kind of conversation. I'm still half asleep.
Here are your hosts, Chuck Barrett and Bo Mattingly.
All right, so Madden Iamaleava has gone in the portal. It's believed he's going to UCLA with his brother Nico. Just to be clear, Chuck and I don't think this wrecks the football team, and that's not really why it's a story. There's more to what's happening in college athletics than this story. This just gives an example of what's frequently happening because of the portal and money being involved. Richard Davenport covers recruiting for the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, WholeHogSports.com, AR recruiting guy. You can follow him on Twitter, and he's our go-to source for things like this. And RD, thanks for making time for us. I am curious, and Chuck and I think both are curious. Like, this story's just curious with the Iamaleava family. What can you tell us about this family or what you know of Madden and
what happened?
Make sense of this.
Yeah, what happened?
You guys tell me. Here's the deal. some of these kids, especially, I don't know, you have a late addition like Madden was to the recruiting class, you really don't have an opportunity to get to know the kid or even the family. And I didn't even get an opportunity to talk to him after he signed with Arkansas. So I really don't know the family that well. I do know some people in Tennessee that just really thought the world of Nico. I just tend to think it's just a dad that's kind of overly involved in maybe I don't know who's in their ear with the decision making process, but I just tend to think that the dad just obviously is running things and didn't like how things were at Tennessee. If you read, evidently it's money, but they say it was the offense. I tend to think it was more money, but that I don't know that for sure. And then I tend to think, obviously, when he was talking to UCLA, Madden was part of the process too. To say you get Nico, you get Madden, and I think their thought process is Nico's going to have one more year of college and probably go pro. That, and then Madden would take over. That's just me thinking out loud.
Yeah,
it's a grand plan.
That makes sense.
I mean, it's a grand plan.
I did. What's hard to understand, I guess, is the money. Like, it doesn't sound like they're getting more. I just don't. Like, that combined, are they getting what, not that but like combined, rhetorically asking, are they going to get as much as Nico was getting at Tennessee?
No, well, obviously it doesn't sound like he is, and I think Madden was doing pretty good at Arkansas from what I could tell. I don't have a firm number or anything like that on him, but UCLA has been kind of questionable as far as NIL money. At least you hear, you see in the media, and you kind of believe that, in LA with so much to do. College athletics is not a high priority for people in LA, but all that's a good question. I'm sure they're going to make some money, but will they make the same amount that they were making at Tennessee and Arkansas? Probably not.
Again, for me, it's more curiosity. I don't think this has a big impact on Arkansas. But, Richard, it is an example of what happens on a regular basis that we don't hear about because it's not as high profile. Maybe take us into your world for a second. Having covered recruiting for as long as you have, how has it changed when you talk to athletes about making their decision?
Yeah, well, it's basically the same wording, but in the back of your mind, it's about the money too, and not too many people want to talk about the money. Sometimes the parents will talk about the money. Sometimes kids will, but for the most part, they shy away from that. They don't want to be known as just looking for a payday. And then obviously, early playing time is I don't know what the percentage is as far as guys jumping into the portal looking for more money, but I would tend to think it's pretty high. But then it's pretty high for guys that are not getting minutes. So it's probably maybe 50-50, maybe less. I don't know. But those are the two reasons why most of the guys jump in the portal, but they don't really discuss that to me openly. Maybe off the record they will, but not a lot, really. I'll be honest with you.
Richard, I want to get your thoughts on this. Every time this issue comes up, we get texts and calls from people saying, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you restrict them to this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you have the contract here and not pay them to this point? You talk to these kids out there a lot. The problem with all these solutions is, in my mind anyway, there's no hard and fast set of rules that everybody's got to play by. And the minute you take a stand, somebody else is taking your player. And I just wonder, as you look at this landscape, is there any kind of solution out there that you see on the horizon? Does revenue share really solve all this, or does it just bring a new set of problems?
I tend to think the revenue sharing is going to equal things out a little bit. You're basically going to have about the same amount of money. It's just that each school is going to
But you got to raise it. You got to raise it.
Yeah, no, and they'll, well, if they don't raise, they'll cut, and especially in the SEC, they'll cut staffing and what have you to come up with that money. If they don't come up with that money, you're really screwed as far as competition wise and being able to get a good roster together. And let's face it, Arkansas NIL wise before revenue sharing. Wasn't competitive with some of the top tier of the SEC, and that was a burden on Coach Pittman and the staff. I mean, they kind of had one arm tied behind their back. I mean, they're competitive, but they're not top tier. Now, supposedly, revenue sharing should make it more equal, and hopefully that's the case. If that's the case, that you like your chances of competing maybe a little bit more. And I think once, I don't know, a few years down the road when more information comes out, I think we may be surprised at how competitive Arkansas was under Coach Pittman, despite not having the money that the other schools had.
Richard Davenport covering recruiting for Whole Hog Sports and the Arkansas Democrat Gazette with us here on the Chuck and Bo Show. You can follow him on Twitter, AR Recruiting Guy. What's your thought on where Arkansas basketball is with their roster and who they might add at this point?
Yeah, right now, I think it's going to be difficult. Let's say Knox comes back, and I tend to think he will, but I don't know that. If he, with the thought process of him possibly coming back, you're a transfer. You're looking at that roster and you're going, where's my minutes going to come from? I tend to think it's going to be difficult to convince the guy to come in and fight for those minutes because you look at the roster and it's a pretty impressive roster. So I think that they would probably like to add somebody who can stroke the three on a consistent basis, in the around 40%, outstanding 3-point shooter. But can you do that with the roster that you have? I think they're pretty pleased with what they got, but at the same time, I'm sure they'll try to improve it. But again, bringing in a guy and he looks at that roster, and guys, they obviously want money, but also we go back to the minutes. We'll most of these guys are used to playing 30 to 40 minutes a game. Would they be content playing 15 or 20? I don't know.
Hey, what do you think happened on this Nate Ament thing? Him going to Tennessee. I mean, it was Duke and Louisville and all these places, and then he ends up at Tennessee. What do you think happened there?
It's funny because everything, all the schools that I heard of the top 5, I didn't hear Tennessee that much.
That's right.
And you heard that too, evidently, Chuck. So
you're right.
what happened? I don't know.
He got Nico's money. They opened up some money. Opened up.
They had $2.5 million extra.
Hey, good can always come from bad, and Nico leaving wasn't so bad. But
maybe
of course,
so.
we're kidding. But I really don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. This is it's just a different time. What is the biggest change? We'll get you out of here with this that you think we're going to see. Will there be a move beyond rev share? Do you think there'll be a move to eliminate the second portal in April, like this summer, for example, or before we hit the end of the year? Do you see that happening?
I sure hope so. Yeah, I sure hope so. I mean, obviously, Coach Pittman, he's for that. I think you got coaches that have portal fatigue. Put a little bit of responsibility on the kids to have that one opportunity to jump in the portal. If they don't, they have to just suck it up and and do what we have to do every day and do things we don't want to do and go through adversity. And I think that wouldn't be a bad thing. Now, will some courts jump in there and say that's not right? Just like so I guess the some judges saying that only 5 years of eligibility is they're looking at that as maybe not being fair to the student athlete. I mean, every time the NCAA tries to do something, some judge jumps in and says, no, we need to take a look at this. So I don't know what the future holds. All I know you guys are probably the same way. When I'm watching, if I'm at a practice or if I'm watching on TV and I'm seeing some guys interviewed, I don't know half the guys on the team.
Yeah.
Because half the team is new each year. And I used to know I used to be able to say, oh, that's so-and-so, because I was familiar with them. Not anymore.
Yeah, that's true of basketball this year. About halfway through the season, you felt like you kind of know everybody. And baseball, like when you start really paying, like when you get into conference play, you start paying attention more. And then it's like, oh, that guy, and then that guy. And then now you know him by name a few series in, but it takes a while.
I got to admit,
it does.
I got to admit, when I watch players now, I want to know how much they're making. That's the first thing I think of. I wonder how much he's making. That's terrible to admit, but I'm honest enough to say it.
You know that in the pros. And that's another thing.
That's right.
I think everybody thinks that, Chuck. I really do.
How much are we paying that guy?
I think that, yeah.
RD, good stuff, man. Appreciate you hopping on with us. Hope you had a happy Easter, and we look forward to catching up again soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Richard.
Does a great job. And a great dude. Richard Davenport, AR recruiting guy on Twitter. Whole Hog Sports.
I was thinking when he was talking about, back in the day, you'd talk to these recruiting guys, and it was just a matter of, I talked to him on the phone last night. He really likes so-and-so, likes the idea of playing time, and, got some family in Arkansas. And, all that stuff's just like, it's like in a whole different – it is in a different lifetime now. I just wonder what covering recruiting's like now as opposed to what it was before.
Totally different game, for sure. A totally different experience, by the way, when you go to Blakeman's. If you haven't been to Blakeman's and Rogers recently, you haven't been. That is a sight. Bart experienced it recently. Bart hears me talk about it all the time. But you went in there and were you just in awe?
Yes,
it really is wild.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like it's a whole experience.
Feels like you're in a big city.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
It's about the experience, really. They have a lot of things there to mark great moments and memories and special occasions, but it really is about the experience. The Cafe B, the Onyx Coffee. You can get a cocktail, maybe a Prosecco. Well, they did have Macallan 12 when I was in there
just saying,
the other day.
It's a big purchase.
It's more than jewelry. It is your story at Blakeman's Fine Jewelry, the official jeweler of the Arkansas Razorbacks. 8:17. It's Tuesday. Good morning.
That's the actual question. What the hell's going on around here?
The Chuck and Bo Show.
If you're having issues with your gutters or drainage around the house, you need to call Hog Trough Gutters. They're locally owned and operated with over 30 years of experience. Seamless gutters made on site, trenching and French drains. Plus, they're fully licensed and insured, and every job comes with a 20-year guarantee. Hog Trough Gutters services all of Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Log on to their website, hoggutters.com, to find out more. That's hog, GUTTERS.com.
First Security is about more than great banking. Yes, we provide the financial expertise, digital tools, and everything else you need when you need it. But we also go all in on local support with friendly professionals, plus convenient locations all across the state. Because we believe personal banking is better banking. Visit fsbank.com for details. That's fsbank.com for friendly, local banking with First Security. Bank better. Member FDIC.
I always enjoy talking about Weichert Realtors, the Griffin Company. If you followed my radio career, you remember they were partners on the original sports rap radio program over 20 years ago. We've done business together from an advertising perspective, but more importantly, they've been my partners in buying and selling homes. I'd recommend them to anybody. They're in Northwest Arkansas, the River Valley, and in Branson. Weichert Realtors, the Griffin Company, turning houses into homes since 1978.
It seems like everything is more expensive this year, but replacing your AC doesn't have to be. If you need to replace your AC this summer, before you commit, price check with Paschal. You can save money and use the professionals to replace your system. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing you chose the best option for your home. Visit gopaschal.com and with just a few clicks, see how much you can save with the Paschal Price Check. Paschal Air, Plumbing, and Electric.
You know, I want Texas to lose. Yeah, I want them to rot in hell.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
I'm leaving for more money if I can find it. The portal's open on the show.
Okay.
I think the NPR station's on the phone.
Now their funding's been cut.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
Hey, your gutters and your drainage system probably got a big workout over the weekend. That's the understatement.
Beating.
That's right. If you had issues before, if you've got issues now, Hog Trough Gutters is the name you need to remember. They're locally owned and operated. They've got over 30 years of experience, and they do it all. They make their seamless gutters on site. They also do trenching work, French drains. They're fully licensed and insured, and every job comes with a 20-year warranty. Now, they service all of Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. You can take a picture of your issue, text it to them, call them, log on to their website. Sometimes you want someone who's honest enough to say, well, you don't need that right now, but you do need this. And sometimes you need someone to tell you, hey, man, your system needs to be replaced. You're going to get that kind of advice. You're going to get that kind of straight talk when you deal with Hog Trough Gutters. Log on, hoggutters.com.
Brent is in Searcy. Brent, good morning. You're on the Chuck and Bo Show. You've made it. You're here.
I'm here. Your day can start now.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit about this whatever Nico's brother's name was here, Madden or something like that. Is that right?
That's right, Madden.
I gotta say, he was barely here 3 months. Isn't that correct? He came in that semester.
That is correct. Yes.
And he collected 3 checks probably, and he threw up the deuces to it. And
probably not that far off. Yeah.
I just say,
yeah.
You know, we avoided a major problem by him hitting the portal.
Potentially.
Because it was going to be every year he was going to come wanting more money, wanting more. And if he didn't want to be here, good for him.
Let me ask you a
We need
hypothetical, just for fun. Just for fun. I mean, nobody here is mad that Madden Iamaleava has decided to go to UCLA. But just for fun, if he wins the Heisman Trophy 2 years from now, will you feel the same way?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I don't have a different opinion. I just, he's pretty good. At least that's the early word on. He hadn't played in games yet, but.
Well, when he was our guy, he was pretty good.
Chad Baker Mazzara,
their guy now.
online
sucks.
too. Yeah, he's coming.
But my problem is he didn't even stay to see if he was, because there was a good chance he was going to be our quarterback next.
Yeah,
August.
He would have been. He would have been in the mix. Most likely.
If you paid the money. I mean, seriously.
It's true.
Seriously. If you'd paid the money, it's possible.
And that's the thing, too. Like, you got a guy that's fighting for a quarterback job with, say, KJ Jackson, and let's say it's really close, Chuck. And then you're in the summer, and not only are you dealing with, like, hey, who's my quarterback going to be? You're also probably having to decide whether you want to pay him a lot more money, and you don't even know if he's going to be the guy. And if you're going to pay him, you're going to have to pay the other guy who's in that quarterback battle too. And you're just betting against yourself right there. It's crazy.
It is. It is. But now, in this instance, we may have dodged a bullet here.
I think. I don't think there's any question.
I mean, we may very well have dodged a bullet.
I don't think there's any question. You know what you're getting now. You know what you have and what you're going to have to deal with.
It's kind of like the old saying, when somebody shows you what they are, believe them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we saw with and we all kind of wondered, how was it going to affect things here? Would it affect things here? I think we know our answer, because he's going to UCLA and there's a package deal, and maybe between the two of them, they'll make as much as what Nico was making by himself at Tennessee. I don't know. I've also wondered too, from the outside looking in, and when you start talking about all these big dollar figures, how can you not make your decision based entirely on money? That's those of us that don't have a lot of money. I've wondered too about family from California, Long Beach, sending a kid to Tennessee, sending a kid to Arkansas. I mean, do they just want him back home? Do they want? I mean, what's the deal on that? I've just got to believe there's a dynamic at play here that maybe goes beyond money. I don't know. Everybody's just speculating, myself included.
Dwight has texted in, which, by the way, is a phenomenal name, Dwight.
Yeah.
D-W-I-G-H-T.
You don't hear it a lot. Generally, they give him a
a
nickname.
Yeah.
If they name him Dwight. I'm
Just
just saying.
Bo or something.
Yeah, something Bo.
Did Madden pick up a check and leave, or does him transfer and cancel out his funds? We've gotten a lot of questions about
whatever they gave him, he keeps. And he doesn't have to give it back.
And whatever he hasn't earned,
he's not getting.
And they're not just giving him a pile of money when they walk in the door. I think this is like monthly payments.
But yeah, he got paid while he was
wonder how
here.
much he got in April.
Paid.
Did they prorate April? There's probably a certain amount for spring ball.
I would be willing to bet that whatever money he was due, he got before he made his announcement.
I'd be willing to bet
I'd be willing to bet that part. And here's the thing, and I'll go back to what we were talking about with Richard a minute ago. I'm not knocking people for doing this, but every time it comes up, we got 15 solutions on the text line. There's 15 guys that have this solution. Well, don't do this, don't do that. Make them sign this, pay them then.
And none of it's ever been thought of before.
Yeah, it's not like people are up there thinking, "Oh, God dang, how come I didn't think about that?" I mean, that's not what's going on. It's because there's no uniform set of rules. You can take a stand until you're blue in the face, and all you're going to do is lose your player.
This is beautiful right here, Troy and Harrison. If you want to give them a signing bonus, make it equal to the average income in the state they play in.
Well,
what does that mean?
You're going to lose your player to a team with a higher income. Yeah. Now, one thing I do wonder about, in all honesty, And I wondered about this when they first started the NIL.
Here's an idea.
Yeah.
I got an idea.
Let's just don't pay him at all. Let's just don't pay him at all.
Why don't we take a stand?
What is market value going to be for some of this, NIL work that they do? And how's it going to differ between a state like Florida and California as opposed to a state like Arkansas, where the cost of doing business is a lot greater? I wondered what role this would play originally in NIL. So far, none.
And they're supposed
but it
to.
may going forward. It's got to be fair market value, they say.
But what is that? And
it's
like,
different here than other places. I know that.
It's like J.R. Carroll, sports agent, said on our show the other day. There's going to be a new business, and the business is professional evaluators of NIL. And so they'll go to Bart, they'll call Bart and Associates, and they'll be like, remember, hey, and you think this determining value is going to be easy. It's not. Think about when I remember Johnny Manziel in his heyday at Texas A&M, in his yay day, whatever it was, that he was playing for the Aggies. College Game Day comes to town, and somebody, some marketing guru or something said, College Game Day coming to College Station because of Johnny Manziel's worth like $50 million in marketing. Like having game day on your campus. Okay? Well, if that's true, some expert can say that about something, how are you to say otherwise? It just has, it can be unprecedented, but then you set a standard, and now it's not unprecedented anymore. That's how everything happens. So it'll be interesting to see how all that shakes out. I don't think it's going to be as easy as we think. There's ways around it.
There's always a way around it.
877-377-6963. Anybody else got any ideas on how to fix this? Please.
I like Tyler's suggestion. Make them pay. Make them pay to come to school here.
Yeah. Golly.
I mean, look.
You mean like the common student?
Yeah. Make them pay their own tuition and
make
everything
them work
like normal
their way
people.
through school.
Yeah.
And play football.
Get a job waiting tables. Get a job waiting tables.
Look, you
do the whole deal.
You could be Jerry Jones if you do that. You learn that kind of work ethic. You're in college. It's the Chuck and Bo Show, 831. Good morning.
Bo, you said something interesting. I don't think you meant to, but when you talked about Bill's...
The Chuck and Bo Show.
We care a lot about supporting Arkansas businesses here on the Chuck and Bo Show, and we both like keeping our rides looking good. Splash Car Wash just became our new neighbors here in Fayetteville. They're a locally owned Arkansas business, and they've been serving the state since 1989. They're good folks, and you can get a free car wash by texting Splash Arkansas to 22322. That's Splash Arkansas to 22322.
There's no better shopping experience than you're going to find at Macadoodles or at Guess Who in Bentonville. And every Wednesday is Wine Down Wednesday. 15% off every bottle of wine in the store, even if it's already on sale. But when it comes to selection, amazing prices, and unbeatable customer service, Macadoodles and Guess Who in Bentonville is second to none. Wine, beer, and spirits. Stock up for your next party or just stop by and grab your favorite. Macadoodles, just north of Bella Vista, and Guess Who in Bentonville.
There's nothing we enjoy saying more than I told you so.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
Chuck and I started the show. He said we want to deal with smart people, smarter than us. It's going to take a while for them to show up because they've been dumbed down, but they'll show up.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
Well, guys.
Can you top this?
This will, it'll be, can you top this? If you think college players are getting paid too much, look away for this one. An Alabama high school player was just offered $750,000 to transfer out of state for next football season. The craziest part, he declined the offer. Cameron Pritchett is indeed a 5-star edge prospect, so the money will come eventually. But he's not even the first person from his high school to turn down such a deal. Last year, quarterback Trent Seaborn did it, declined a similar offer, which would have forced him to move to Florida.
I was going to say these have got to be Florida schools.
Why? Because NIL isn't allowed at high schools in Alabama. Now, just think about this. Now we're going to other states to get high school kids to move. Because Florida can pay NIL to high school kids. I mean, we just think about the.
This is what happens when you turn this over to state legislators, man. This is what happens.
So stupid.
This is exactly how college NIL started.
I know.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. It was legal in one state, was not legal in another. And then everybody had to play catch up and make it legal in their state, or they were going to get left behind. And
hey, that guy's got a really bad idea. We got to adopt it too. I mean, you know, this is.
Can you imagine, mom and dad? They can just quit their job for $750K.
You can bet they'll get that corrected in Alabama. They will get that corrected in short order. They're gonna. I mean, they call a special session for that.
Yeah.
In Alabama,
Tuberville's a senator.
That's what I heard.
So yeah, he can make that happen.
That's what I heard. Okay. All right.
Yeah, okay. Well, I digress. 877-377-6960.
They hadn't fixed it yet. I'll just put it that way. Everybody's going to fix it, but they hadn't fixed it yet.
Let me give you some headlines, boys. 7 professional Razorbacks are in the NBA playoffs. Can you name them in your vehicle right now or wherever you're listening to the show? Can you name them? The 7 pro NBA players that are in the playoffs, former Razorbacks. We've got a list right in front of us. I'm not going to pretend.
I can't. I
put
him on the list.
There's one out there that I'll bet people, generally speaking, would miss. The others, they would probably.
I know which one you're talking. Well, no, there's. I know which one you're talking about now.
Yep.
Stanley Amude.
Stanley Amude with the Bucks.
Yep.
I have to admit, I was watching the Knicks and the Pistons play last night, and I couldn't remember if Amude was still with Detroit or exactly what the deal was.
Cade Cunningham was big last night.
Ooh,
not a
he
former
was.
Razorback.
No, he's
but,
good, man. He's
for the number 1 pick in the draft. Jalen Williams, Thunder. Isaiah Joe, Thunder. Anthony Black, Magic. Moses Moody, Warriors. Bobby Portis, Bucks with Stanley Amude. And Jordan Walsh, Celtics. 7.
There you guys.
Former Razorbacks in the pros. Playing in the playoffs. Arkansas baseball fell to number 4 in the Coaches USA
free fall.
Today poll.
Total free fall.
Arkansas has been ranked by the coaches for 119 consecutive weeks dating back to 2017.
Is that right?
Which is the longest active streak in college baseball.
Wow.
That's your baseball program. I don't,
And
we
then
don't
we
appreciate
had a
it
caller
enough.
a couple of days ago.
I don't appreciate it
well,
enough.
the baseball's been okay. Yeah, I'm excited about basketball. Baseball's been okay.
Here I think is the best way to describe it. Like, Arkansas baseball is the most consistent program in the country. Like, they are there in the mix every single year.
They've been in the top 10 for 70 of the past 73 weeks of baseball seasons.
Is that any good? Seems good.
You think Dave Van Horn's feeling that love right now? That appreciation?
From the people that understand it, yes.
Yeah. Arkansas slipped to 5th by D1 Baseball, 6th in Perfect Game, and 7th by Baseball America. Oh, what a disaster. I heard people talking about this yesterday, like they just look like some trash team out there making all kind of mistakes and whatever. I'm just like, what in the world? They're playing, against other teams. and they're facing some of the best they're facing really great arms. And they're not always going to play their best.
They're
and
ranked in
they
the
still
top 10,
are
people.
amateur baseball
Come on.
players.
They're
And they're ranked in the top 10 after losing back-to-back series, which is also a complete anomaly.
We would kill to have in football what we have in baseball. We would kill to have in a lot of sports what we have in baseball. And we take it for granted. But that's kind of how it works.
Here's
sometimes.
DVH after the series loss to A&M.
We got to get a few guys going offensively. Last weekend it was who it was, and Davlin didn't have a great weekend last weekend. He had a great 3 games this weekend. Aloy's been good every weekend. Cahill's been pretty good, but then it's been just a little bit of here and there. We just need to get a few more guys rolling, and we can put up some bigger innings.
It's baseball. I think they'll get it going.
Well, they I think they will too. I mean, it's a game of streaks, and sometimes good streaks last 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes bad streaks do too. And your winning streak eventually ends, and you eventually turn things around too if you've got the talent. Florida's good. Florida's gotten better. Florida. I mean, we tend to judge teams based on how they do right out of the chute, but Florida's played well of late, and. It's not going to be easy. I mean, UALR beat Ole Miss last week, so it's not like UALR is going to be chopped liver either.
By the way, if you missed it, Madden Iamaleava.
Yeah.
Is
we worked on that name all week
transferring
long.
to
all week long.
Some school, UCLA. UCLA in this deal is hilarious. Like, he decommitted from them, came here, and I guess their feelings weren't hurt too bad because they're going to go give his brother some money and him, and they're I mean, I'm waiting to see, is there some, family member there? Is there some, this thing doesn't seem to have made financial sense for them. So but then again, we don't know. We only go by reports. I just know this. $1 goes a lot further in Knoxville than it does in Beverly Hills. That much I can assure
100% sure.
I agree with that.
There's nothing in Beverly Hills that costs $1.
No, you're
nothing.
Right. No.
Not a thing. I mean, nothing.
There is no Dollar General in Beverly Hills.
Well, if it is,
I bet there
if it is,
no way.
If it is, it's a different. It's on a different level. I promise you. That's all a lie. That's not what you're getting in there. Listen. I just mentioned Cade Cunningham. We were doing a documentary on Cade Cunningham, and of course, you know what these guys do when they go train? They go to really nice places when they're getting ready for the draft. He was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. We're following him around, and we're going where he is. And we're in Beverly Hills, and after 3 days of being there, Chuck, I'm like, how far do I have to drive to not spend $100 on lunch?
I'd have been out of there.
It's crazy. It's crazy. He's taking less money to go there in a more expensive place to live with all this. I just don't get it. I don't like it.
Well, when you're making as much money as they are, it doesn't matter. When you're making $20-30 million a year, it doesn't matter.
Well, they're not making that.
Some of them are.
There's not a Dollar General.
Pros are what I'm talking about. You're talking about Cade Cunningham.
Well, no, yeah, sorry. I went back to the Iamaleavas.
I got you.
And them going out to
I
Beverly.
understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, no, you're right. It didn't matter to Cade at all.
Yeah.
There's one in Inglewood, and that's the only location in Los Angeles.
There's a DG in Inglewood?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Nothing in Beverly Hills, though.
Hey, I don't know if you guys noticed over the weekend, but storm season's here. And we all know how unpredictable the weather can be, and that brings us to Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Don't get caught in the dark. Protect your home with a whole home generator from Pascal. Pascal's a licensed dealer. Great brands, Kohler, Honeywell. They're not the only ones, and they offer more options with licensed and insured plumbers and electricians. No subcontractors, just trusted pros. And right now, you can get $500 off a free whole home surge protector. It's about a $600 value. If you install your generator before the 1st of May, you got to get busy. Still time for you to take advantage of $500 off. Plus, no interest financing, low monthly payments. Log on to gopascal.com.
Does Arkansas have interest in the oldest player in college basketball, or at least one of them, Chad Baker-Mazara? A fan favorite, many Razorback fans at Auburn, in the transfer portal. Any chance he's coming here? We'll get into that next. Chuck and Bo Show, good morning. Like, I think you should look at yourself today in the mirror and say, what's wrong with me?
Okay, I will.
I'm not talking about you.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, if you're struggling to get your Social Security disability, or you're buried in debt thinking about bankruptcy, don't wait. You need a legal team that knows how to fight for Arkansans.
That's why you can trust Cadell Reynolds. Bill Reynolds and his team know how to get results when it matters most. Whether it's personal injury, disability, or bankruptcy, they've got the experience and they've got your back.
So don't go it alone. Make the right call. Dial 866-314-3728 or visit CadellReynolds.com today.
Flight by Yingling is the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yingling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass, raise the bar. Flight by Yingling. Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yingling and Son Incorporated, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
The doors are open, and it's a new era of elegance. Blakeman's Fine Jewelry has unveiled its stunningly redesigned 8,500 square foot showroom for an unmatched luxury experience. There's breathtaking jewelry, of course, expert service, and private viewing rooms designed for comfort. And they've got an in-house cafe with handcrafted coffee to go along with a special coffee table book celebrating Arkansas's heritage. Because it's more than jewelry. It's your story at Blakeman's Fine Jewelry.
Arkansas's one-stop automotive shop is right around the corner. Fayetteville Auto Park. FayettevilleAutoPark.com. Chevy, Toyota, Honda, Acura, Collision Center, all in one place. And if you're shopping pre-owned, Fayetteville Auto Park has you covered. With so many new cars sold, we always have a great selection of fresh trades. Why settle for anything less than the best? Fayetteville Auto Park, West Showroom Drive in Fayetteville. Proud sponsor of the Chuck and Bo Show.
At the Stonebreaker Hotel, we believe in the art of gathering, whether over a thoughtfully prepared meal or a quiet moment on Markham Hill. Start your day with breakfast classics from the all-day menu, served from 7:30 to 1. Savor shareable bites from the bar and lounge menu until 10. And let the dinner menu from 5 to 9 bring familiar flavors with a fresh twist. And for a weekend well spent, how about brunch? Rooted in connection, designed for comfort. Learn more at StonebreakerHotel.com. Guys, regardless of our age, feeling good is something we all want. That's what the Sweating 'em Edge is all about. It's where health, confidence, and peak performance come together. We all face challenges like low energy, hair loss, who's looking at me, stubborn weight, and skin health. The good news is we can do something about it. Get your free evaluation today and see where you are. Chuck and I have both done it and are better off for it. Log on to sweatingthemcosmetic.com and click on the Sweating 'em Edge. You want to talk about washed? You're being brainwashed by idiots. You're following idiots.
The Chuck and Bo Show.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The Chuck and Bo Show.
Jack Nicholson turns 88 today.
88 years old.
Hey, it's Earth Day. Maybe do some grounding.
Get outside.
Take your shoes and socks off. Stand on the
It's going to
earth.
be a great day.
Plant a tree.
School bus driver appreciation day.
Oh, man, those guys have a thankless job.
Oh,
yeah.
man. Oh.
I mean, they deserve to have an appreciation day every day.
Every day.
Every single day.
Let's just give them a round of applause right now.
Yeah.
Taking the kids to school.
Absolutely.
Safe.
Putting up with all
dependable,
that crap.
And just, dealing with it all.
I would stop the bus every mile. I mean, I would. I mean,
straight out of a movie.
Oh, it would be.
Pull over and yell. Also, I want to let you know the 20th annual Carving in the Ozarks Festival is back.
The carving?
Yep.
Yeah, what's that about?
Chainsaws, master chainsaw carvers, right there. Eureka Springs all weekend. You're going to be hearing this.
In
You
Eureka?
can watch live.
Are you allowed to cut down a tree in Eureka?
They're carving up things.
Are you? I didn't know if that was allowed.
I don't know. They're having a master chainsaw carvers demonstration as well, which I don't know, earplugs, and I don't know, it might be cool. It is pretty cool what people could do with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
crafty.
Sure.
Also see the Highlands Gravel Classic rolls into Fayetteville. By the way, I'm reading this from NWA Daily, which is a daily newsletter on Northwest Arkansas. The Highlands Gravel Classic is a qualifier race for the UCI Gravel World Championships. It's this Saturday, April 26th. They have like a competitive division, elite division, and then they have, like a more amateurish one. But you got to be 19 to get in. But they have a picture here, and I'm looking at, 30 cyclists riding on gravel. Well, what does it look like on the back of the picture? They're getting dusted out. Like, how do you ride?
It's all on gravel?
Yes.
Wow.
But if you're in the back of the pack, you're just coughing down gravel dust.
You need ski goggles.
I know I don't know what I'm talking about. Somebody's going to be like, I don't know, it didn't work. Well, the picture, it just looks like it does.
I was thinking about the wipeouts, man. You'll wipe out on that gravel. Wear that home.
Oh. Be picking that out for days.
I know.
So you're not going to participate?
Probably not.
That's not
Probably not, no.
That's not your gravel cycling's not your thing?
Nah, it's not my thing.
I know some people doing it.
Well, I'm sure you
know,
do.
I mean,
and I'm sure it's fun.
We're in the mountain biking / biking
We
capital
are.
of the world.
We are.
We are the Aspen of biking.
Yeah. Baseball tonight.
We'll be here to talk about it tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Y'all have a great day. Tuesday, enjoy it. It's the only one you get today. Chuck and Bo Show.
Hey, you can beat inflation and upgrade your ride at Chevy of Fayetteville. Right now, drive home a brand new Chevy Silverado, Blazer, Equinox EV, or the Tough 2500 with rates as low as 1.9% APR. Plus, take advantage of huge discounts and get top dollar for your trade-in. Go see Chris, Mark, and Denver at Chevy of Fayetteville, where the deals are big and the road ahead is even better. Chevy of Fayetteville. Let's drive.
I'm Dr. Scotty Bolding, a native Arkansan oral and maxillofacial surgeon. One of my goals is to make Arkansans healthier.
If you have sleep disorder breathing, it's important to treat it properly. The standard treatment's a breathing machine called CPAP. It helps you breathe during the night. However, there are other options thanks to